What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today's reaction video is going to be how the Chicago Bulls self-destructed after Michael Jordan and Phil Jackson left. Collapse. This is by Secret Base. You guys are always telling me to check out Secret Base. And obviously Michael Jordan, one of the greatest basketball players of all time. I'm not going to get into the GOAT discussion. Obviously you guys have your opinion, but he's up there. If he isn't the best, he's one of the best. It's up to you guys to decide that. When someone like that leaves your team, it makes sense that your team's going to take a massive hit. I don't know who Phil Jackson is. The name rings a little bit of a bell, but his name's definitely not as well known as Michael Jordan, so hopefully I'm going to learn that in this video. But yeah, from what I've seen recently, at least, the Chicago Bulls aren't anywhere near their historic past, basically, of how good they used to be. And it's a bit of a shame to see, because when you hear about Michael Jordan, all you hear about is the Bulls, because obviously he starred there, and stuff like that. And you want to see a team with so much history and had one of the best players ever succeed. Again, I don't really support a team. I enjoy watching it, but yeah, that's kind of my take on it, and let me know your take on it in the comments. But we're going to see why they're self-destructed, if maybe that meant a lot of players left, or maybe they just got the draft picks wrong from that moment onwards, and they made a lot of financial mistakes where they had a window where they could have carried on without Jordan, maybe. But in my eyes, it's just that much of a big blow to lose such an inspirational, such a talented player, but sometimes you can't recover from it. So yeah, let's get straight into it. Let's find out. Hit that like button, I'd really appreciate it, guys. Hit that subscribe button, and obviously, as always, let me know if you want to see more Secret-based content, guys, which I imagine you probably do, but let's go.
In 1998, the Bulls did it again. Michael Jordan's team accomplished something legendary when they won 3 straight championships from 1991 to 1993. Then Jordan retired, unretired, and incredibly led the Bulls to another 3-year streak of glory.
Wow,
72 wins and a finals victory over the Sonics in 1996, then 2 more rings from back-to-back defeats of the mighty Utah Jazz, punctuated by MJ's iconic series-winning shot. Just like the first 3.
And that series winning shot wasn't that like his last ever in a Bulls shirt, which is absolutely insane. Like, what a send-off. I believe it is. What an absolute send-off.
Jordan had an ideal squad around him in the late 90s. He still had his second superstar, the do-everything, stop-everyone, eternally underappreciated small forward Scottie Pippen.
Okay.
And he still had Phil Jackson, the coach who became an icon himself by speaking in riddles, orchestrating egos, and administering the triangle offense designed by his mentor and assistant, Tex Winter.
Okay, he sounds pretty awesome. He's the coach. I probably could have guessed that. It was either going to be a teammate or a coach, wasn't it, at the end of the day? Okay, fair enough. I've not really heard much about him. We're going to learn more, hopefully.
But so many of these role players were new for the second go-round. Ron Harper, the perfect, tall, defensive point guard to complement Jordan in the triangle. Dennis Rodman, moody, eccentric, and brilliant at protecting the basket.
Nice.
The pest haunting every opposing big man. Tony Kukoc, the former EuroLeague superstar who found new life as a fearsome tertiary gunner on his first NBA team. Luke Longley, the diligent, reliable center from Australia. And Steve Kerr, one of the most automatic shooters ever.
Now, Steve Kerr is someone I've never seen play, but isn't he the Golden State Warriors coach at the moment, or he was when I last watched? I don't know if he's been sacked in between, but I doubt he has. Because when they went on that incredible run, he was definitely their coach. And it seems like he were a light-out shooter, which makes sense because he kind of coaches a light-out shooter in Steph Curry. Maybe he's passed on a few things. I imagine Steph Curry is probably a level above because he's like one of the best shooters ever. But maybe he's passed on a few things, which is awesome.
And you can thank Jerry Krause for that supporting cast. It took dogged scouting and clever moves by the Chicago GM to reconstruct a 3-peat capable supporting cast for Bulls owner Jerry Reinsdorf.
Okay.
But while this Bulls team was a masterpiece, it was volatile beyond belief. And within days of achieving ultimate glory, the Bulls would begin to explode. Like, really a lot. The Bulls won championship number 6 on June 14th, 1998.
Okay.
About a week later, the first domino fell. That one was only a matter of time. Phil Jackson and Jerry Krause were not on good terms. They were on the kind of terms where Krause invited every Bulls assistant to his stepdaughter's wedding and invited Iowa State head coach Tim Floyd, but didn't invite Phil.
Oh my God, that's brutal.
They were on the kind of terms that led to Krause vowing that Phil's 1-year extension with the Bulls in 1997 would be his last season in Chicago, even if they went undefeated.
Oh
And
my
if you didn't
god.
believe rumors of a rift, then you had to believe it when Phil himself did a running diary for ESPN magazine in the middle of the playoffs, no less, and said, for instance, that he didn't buy Krause a Christmas gift because he couldn't bring himself to give his boss something of value. No? Still not doing it for you?
Oh my god, what you got to do, no matter what occupation you work in, especially in such like in an environment like this, you got one of the best players. You've got a fantastic coach. It seems like because he's managed to orchestrate the 2 3-peats. You got to put relationships aside, feelings aside. You've got someone who's really good at their job, managing really good players. Just don't get involved. If you don't like the guy, tell him, but don't get involved and don't let it affect your work. Obviously, it didn't because they went back to back, but obviously that's why they've left. And then obviously when Jordan leaves as well, you've also had a fantastic coach leave. And it's completely a fresh start. It's not only you take him a main piece, but you still got the surrounding cast, a couple things there, one big player, and you could be there or thereabouts. No, you then take in the orchestra, and you've just got a bunch of players who potentially could be fillers for lower teams if they don't have the superstars or that coach around them. Your relationship has to be put aside, and you got to be mutual at work. Let me know if you agree on that. But I feel like in this scenario, the double blow is definitely what ain't gonna help. That's not gonna help one bit.
How about, quote, "It's not a secret that I will be gone from the Bulls at the end of the playoffs," end quote. You didn't have to read tea leaves when Phil was stuffing them down your throat.
Yeah,
Phil
just
Jackson's
a
a
bit.
different kind of dude. So Phil resigned. And as soon as he made it official, Bulls fans turned back to some things they'd heard from and about Michael Jordan. Jordan had told the media he wouldn't play for any coach but Jackson.
Oh wow.
And MJ had no connection to the Bulls' planned replacement, that notable wedding guest, Tim Floyd. Jordan had told the fans, in his own ESPN magazine feature, that he didn't want to start a war with Krause, but that the Bulls hadn't shown him loyalty and he thought Phil should be the GM. And this preseason quote from Krause had pissed Jordan off, though Krause insisted for the rest of his life that he was misquoted on that one. Either way, as soon as Phil bailed, everyone readied for the other shoe to drop. But
Okay, it's even bigger than what I thought. Phil, because you've got this relationship, you don't like the guy, who cares? If it means you keep Michael Jordan potentially, keep him, man. Just do whatever you want. Give him a pay rise even if you don't like him. Oh my
the
god.
98 NBA lockout forced them to wait. And wait, and then boom. Days before the work stoppage was resolved, Jordan announced his retirement. And with Jordan gone, a whole lot of shoes began to drop.
I can imagine.
On January 21st, the Bulls ditched Rodman in a flurry of cuts. He'd been a distraction throughout the championship run and had recently been threatening to retire, which he didn't. The same day, Chicago sent Kerr to the San Antonio Spurs in a sign-in trade.
Full clear out.
Pippen,
Wow.
meanwhile, had been part of trade rumors and trade demands for years. As recently as November of '97, that is between championships 5 and 6, Pippen again told reporters he wanted to be traded and that he wouldn't play for the Bulls again. Obviously, he
Not
did
happy.
keep playing for the Bulls, played hurt even, and got another ring out of it.
Okay.
But the day after Kerr got dealt, now just over a week out from Jordan's retirement, the Bulls finally did the deed, signing and trading Pippen to the Rockets for Roy Rogers. The day after that, out went Longley. So in a matter of days after MJ retired, the Bulls lost another 4 key members of a champion squad.
All this because you didn't like the guy. I mean, I know it's not that simple and there's probably a lot of underlying things, but the way it's been described, a lot of it, they didn't have a good relationship. If you just put all that out the window, there's a chance that these players are still there. There's a chance that MJ doesn't retire. There's a chance you potentially win another ring. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but there's a lot of potential there, which you're throwing out the window for a fresh start, which, do you want a fresh start after 3-peating? I don't think you would you? You'd want to ride that wave as long as possible.
They were mostly older dudes on expiring contracts, yes, but it's not like they were totally valueless. Pippen stayed productive for a few more years.
Okay.
Kerr helped the Spurs win a title, and
Oh,
Longley
wow.
remained a starting caliber center. Now look at what the Bulls got back. Only one of these draft picks would amount to something for Chicago. Only one of these people would actually play games for the Bulls, and they weren't good ones. NBA teams played just 50 games in the post-lockout season, and thank God for that, because 82 games of this roster might have given Chicagoans some sort of radiation poisoning.
Oh my god.
The few incumbents on Floyd's Bulls all shifted up in the rotation. Role players like Kukoc and Harper became the stars. Bench guys like Dickie Simpkins and Randy Brown ended up starting a bunch of games.
Okay.
And the only new signing that gave them any real help was Brent Barry, who'd come over from the Miami Heat. Reached for comment about that transaction, Miami coach Pat Riley only had jokes. And the rest of the Bulls roster?
Oh man.
I've been a diehard NBA fan my whole life. Especially as a kid growing up in the 90s, I studied every team and wanted to know every single player, and I recognize like 3 of those guys. Shout out to Bill Wennington. So yeah, Chicago got smoked by the Jazz on opening night 99 and went on to lose 37 of their 50 games.
Oh man.
In one of those losses, they scored just 49 points, the lowest game total for any team in the shot clock era.
Oh, that hurts.
All that losing helped Chicago win the lottery, and Krause had himself a fantastic 99 draft. With the first pick, Duke star Elton Brand. With the mid-first rounder they'd acquired in return for Longley, a St. John's product by the name of Ron Artest, or at least by that name for the time being. And over the next year, Krause would put the finishing touches on his dismantling of the 98 champions. In September 99, the Bulls released Harper, who immediately became a starter for Phil Jackson and Tex Winter's next Triangle project in Los Angeles.
Okay, so Phil Jackson didn't retire. He went to the LA Lakers, which had, it looks like, I can't see Kobe there, but we did just see an image of Kobe. I can't spot him on that screen. And obviously Shaq's there as well. And they definitely won rings. So did Phil Jackson go over there and win a bunch of rings just to be like, yeah, shove it in your face. You've ruined your team over there. I'm just going to go to his new team. Same game plan, and we're going to absolutely batter teams. If it is, that's pretty badass. That is pretty badass if it is that case.
During the season, Chicago traded away Kukoc. So just a year and a half removed from this, Jerry Krause had purged every single core member of the Bulls' three-peat roster.
That is brutal,
all of them
man.
But Jordan were people Krause put there himself, yet a remarkable number of them left him on bad terms. But now Krause could start from scratch, doing what he cherished most, the skill that had fleshed out the teams around Jordan.
Okay.
Scouting, rebuilding the Bulls with young and undiscovered talent. That wasn't necessarily the plan to begin with. The Bulls coveted Tracy McGrady and Eddie Jones in 2000 free agency. T-Mac came to visit Chicago that summer and was greeted at the airport by the Bulls mascot and cheerleaders. But both he and Jones gravitated toward teams in their home state of Florida, so Chicago came up more or less empty.
Unlucky.
Thus, the Bulls were left to continue building with their selections in the famously terrible 2000 NBA draft. Krause was busy that night. He picked Floyd's former Iowa State recruit, Marcus Fizer, even though Fizer played the same position as Elton Brand. Then, Krause moved the pick he'd acquired for Kukoc to grab Michigan's Jamal Crawford. Crawford would go on to have a long, entertaining career,
Yeah, I've seen Crawford when he was at the Lakers for a bit, and he was like the 6th man, I believe he was. And he seemed pretty good. He was quite lights out from the three-point zone. He seemed all right to me. But I would say, start of his career doesn't mean he's going to perform straight away.
Mostly not for the Bulls. Fizer, not so much. He played a few okay-ish seasons, then tore his ACL, then faded out of the league and spent most of his career overseas. Anyway, the young and regenerating Bulls continued to suck. They won 17 games in Brand's first year and just 15 the season following. That gave Chicago the best lottery odds in 2001, but they fell to the 4th pick.
Oh,
the
that's
Wizards,
unlucky.
now run by none other than Michael Jordan, held the top spot, which, yeah. Krause went ahead and
I'm assuming that weren't that good of a pick by the reaction to that. And I know Jordan does own the Wizards. I believe he still does. Or maybe the Hornets. I thought it was the Hornets. Maybe I'm completely wrong on that one, but I could have sworn it was the Charlotte Hornets. But he just said the Wizards. So please correct me on that in the comments, guys. But I don't think he's had too much luck as a GM owner as yet. But there's still time. You never know.
overrode his bad luck, boldly trading his rising star, Brand, to the Clippers for the 2nd draft pick, Tyson Chandler.
Okay.
And at 4, Chicago snagged local prospect Eddie Curry. Both big men, both straight out of high school. A new, super young front court of the future assembled in one night. Chandler and Curry were picked on either side of 2002 Rookie of the Year Pau Gasol, but still, the new baby Bulls looked promising.
Unlucky.
And this
Bad
truly
choice.
was a baby team. Even Krause's free agent signings around this time tended to be youngsters, guys like Brad Miller, Ron Mercer, and Eddie Robinson.
Okay.
The Bulls stayed terrible, and their youthful makeup got kind of muddled. The rookies didn't really play enough, and in February of '02, Krause sent Artest, Miller, and Mercer to the Pacers for for a package headlined by the older Jalen Rose. Rose became the uninspiring go-to player for a team that finished with just 21 wins.
Oh,
Krause was
man.
getting criticized by this point for detonating the post-Jordan Bulls and for failing to make progress since.
I love how it's only taken a couple years for him to start getting abuse from the fans. I get that he kind of built up the team last time, so you've earned his respect is earned initially. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. You know, but Jordan's gone, the coach is gone. That's all in the past. It may be in potentially because you had a bad relationship with him. That's in the past. You built the team last time. We're going to put all our faith into it. I guess you give him a couple of years, but still, man, it's been failure after failure. And it still hasn't got any better from what I believe. Maybe it has. Maybe there was a upturn in form in between, but not what I've heard of.
He tuned it all out, since the Bulls had critics even when they were winning championships.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, Chicago went back to the lottery, where they were dealt the second pick in the 2002 draft, just missing out on Yao Ming. They still got Duke point guard Jay Williams, who had a solid rookie year and helped the Bulls inch forward to 30 wins. The other youngsters also started to ramp up a bit under their new coach, who was a former Bull.
Okay.
Not that former Bull. Jordan's second retirement wasn't his last one, it turned out, and he'd moved from managing the Wizards to playing for them.
Oh, wow.
No, the Bulls replaced Floyd with Bill.
I knew he did play for Wizards at some point, but I just thought that was skipped over. I didn't realize he went managing and then going into it. That's another pretty cool fact. Again, if you're the boss, you can go straight into the team if you really want, if you still got that extra time. I imagine there weren't many Wizards complaining that the greatest of all time was playing for your team. There's not going to be many complaints, is there?
Cartwright, the same person who Krause had once acquired as a player in exchange for Charles Oakley. That was back in 1988, one of Jordan's earliest points of irritation with his GM. And then Cartwright and MJ won 3 titles together. Oh, and a much older Oakley was back on the team when Cartwright took over as coach in the middle of the 2002 season. The Bulls are so weird. Anyway, the slight upward trend coming out of the 2003 season ran into sudden tragedy.
Oh, man.
Injuries sustained in a motorcycle crash ended Jay Williams' career after just 1 season.
Oh, that's awful.
And by the time of Williams' accident, Krause was gone. He resigned in April of 2003 to tend to his health, ceding management duties to another former Bull, John Paxson.
Okay.
The team that Krause left behind was just starting to come together. But the core that eventually led Chicago back into playoff contention in the ensuing years was built entirely by Paxson. He swapped out Krause's guys, made some strong picks of his own, swung one horrible draft day trade in 2006, then hit the lottery jackpot in 2008 and zoomed upward from there.
Okay, so I imagine Bulls fans were happy he retired at that point. I hope he was okay, so it did say health reasons. So I hope he ended up being okay, and I hope he's okay to now, pretty much. But I imagine Bull fans were pretty happy when he was gone and you start seeing an upward trend. But I don't think you win anything. Maybe I'm completely wrong. Maybe I'm just dismissing it too soon. I think you get to maybe a couple of playoffs, but then you drop back down. Because you haven't been that good recently, from what I remember. I may be completely wrong.
Looking back at the intervening period, some of the young talent Krause collected for the Chicago rebuild never got a chance to pan out.
True.
Pfizer and Williams were both deeply unfortunate. But Krause's scouting eye did prove sharp. Artest would become a Defensive Player of the Year, All-Star, and Champion on other teams. Elton Brand was a regular All-Star on another team. The guy he got traded for would also become a Champion, All-Star, and a Defensive Player of the Year on other teams.
Oh, that's unlucky, man.
Even Brad Miller went on to become an All-Star. You guessed it, on
another
team. Listen, rebuilding a champion is tough, especially when you've just lost the game's best player and best coach. Chicago probably could have benefited more from their destruction if they were patient, or if they hadn't alienated so many people in the first place.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The Bulls dissolved their aging and disgruntled championship team with haste, shipped out future stars well before they peaked, and slogged through deep doldrums before new management built their next contending team. Michael Jordan's final shot closed the curtains on one of pro sports' most impressive dynasties.
And most dominant.
The valley following that peak was nearly as impressive. The Bulls sunk as deep and as fast as any champion ever has.
Incredible, man.
Theirs was a truly monumental collapse.
Mental. You know what? That just goes to show, especially in a sport like basketball, when you rely on drafts and stuff like that, it's so easy to fall down. Like, in soccer at least, you get quite a lot of... There's a transfer market, isn't there? So if you're up there, if you've got the money, there's more chance you're going to stay up there because you can spend the money. Obviously, if you spend it completely wrong, you can fall down. But there's more chances you're going to stay up there because you spend the money to get the players. In the draft, if you get a few draft picks wrong, a few players get injured, a few people go out, you start dropping, and it can easily happen. But man, that fall was massive. And I feel like a lot of it was just because alienated, like you said, a lot of bad relationships where sometimes you just got to leave a relationship out of work. And let me know what you guys thought about it in the comments. I apologise if you're a Bull fan and that one hurt, but maybe success in the future. You never know. Anything can happen. And you might have a next Michael Jordan on hand one day. Maybe one day. Hit that like button, guys. Hit that subscribe button and have a fantastic day. Peace.